Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into a special late night edition of Snaps. You can tell it's Snaps After Dark because, well, as my vocal cords are wont to do here during the football season, they've completely betrayed me. I have no idea how my voice is going to last over the next 30 minutes, but we will see. And I'm very excited to be here with you tonight. Shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat. I'll kind of talk for a little minute and kind of give everybody a chance to get in here. And look, man, it's going to be chill, relax. You want to grab a drink, put your questions in the chat. We'll kind of we'll bounce it back and forth throughout the night. What we're going to talk about tonight, though, is mainly going to be the late slate. Look, early on, well, I guess we'll get into LSU, which would have been early. But earlier in the day, the favorites roll. Tennessee does exactly what they need to do. Ohio State, Michigan completely dominate. UGA dominates. But as college football is wont to do, it got a little weird once the sun set down. And we're going to talk about Texas and Texas A&M. You see the question from Brum right there in the YouTube chat. Who had the most embarrassing loss? I do want to make sure, though, to tell you, like I'm going to start that conversation with TCU. Because I understand that that's not maybe the best from a pure content standpoint, but like TCU deserves to be talked about, even though making fun of Texas is more fun. Oregon ducking it up. A lot of LSU fans happy to see that. Really, anybody on the outside of the playoff looking in, that even potentially helps like a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State. Like any team that is trying to get in without a conference championship just got one step closer, as the Pac-12 got one step closer to not making a conference championship. Talk about LSU clinching, Harold Perkins unreal. I've got some snaps and some snips, some things that I liked throughout the day today. Brum, since we're early on in the show here, maybe just to play later, can you find the video? It's all over the place. Of the kid showing off his Costco card at the
of course,
at the basketball game. All right, perfect. We'll get there. We'll get there a little bit later. Brandon, Hal, Dylan, Caleb, Rogue, Jim. What's up, everyone? Kevin. All right. Let's go ahead and start this thing up. Andy JDW for you. Finance next. Pat White. Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Oklahoma lost to a bad WVU team that is getting ready to fire Neil Brown. And the crazier part is that instead of it being one of the main topics of the day, the news is kind of met with like a, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like it has gone horribly awry for Venables here in year one in Oklahoma. And what's kind of wild about it is, again, we mentioned this weeks ago with Oklahoma, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you don't have to hit the panic button yet, like long-term panic, right? This year's awful. But you don't have to hit the long-term panic button yet. But you're going to have to do a heavy amount of mental gymnastics to give yourself hope going forward, because Brent Venables has never done this before. He's out from under the protective wing of Father Dabo, and you don't know that he's going to be the one to get you right. And now you're about to enter the SEC. Awful, awful night to be an Oklahoma fan. Shout out LSU Cools, look very relaxed. I don't feel particularly relaxed. Again, my throat, what the hell's going on, guys? Well, actually, I know what's going on. I drank and smoked this pipe all day. That's I guess that's generally what happens. Brandon Reese say, but OU fans are saying they were going to dominate the SEC. Caleb P. snaps SEC championship. Is that official? Did Georgia clinch today?
They did clinch today. Snaps SEC title.
Okay. Snaps SEC title with both guys with brand new babies. Officially going to happen here in about a month. All right, let's get into it. Again, we're going to talk about who had the worst loss, Texas or Texas A&M. But first, I do want to credit TCU, okay? And I want to credit Auburn as well. Like, let's credit the teams that actually won those games before we make fun of the shit show that is Texas football. First off, on the TCU front, even after everything they did, I mean, if we're all not guilty of just falling for the hot girl, even though we know her personality shucks and she's not even that hot at the end of the day, like every single time. We just lamented it a couple of weeks ago. If TCU was Texas, they'd be number 3 in the playoff. And yet, when they square up with Texas, what do? Vegas says they're favored by 7. Everybody believes in Texas. Hell, if I'm being honest, Brum, I thought Texas was going to win this game. Like, I'm going to have fun, like, making fun of Aaron, but it was only out of pure principle that I was siding with TCU here. I thought I was wrong because there were so many smart football minds saying Texas was going to win this game. But Texas remains Texas. They are eternally disappointing. TCU, on the other hand, remains a team that just finds a way to win. Like, huge credit to Sonny Dykes. TCU's defense has been awful this year. They've been winning with offense every single year. And yet, they just won a game where in the first half, they had the ball in Texas territory 5 different times and didn't come away with a single point. I mean, like, actually, if Texas should be happy about anything, Texas defense played incredible until they finally broke because their offense gave them no complimentary play, no support whatsoever. Just absolutely unreal performance by this TCU defense. It's been bad all year. They hold Texas to 199 total yards, 1 of 13 on third down. They hold Bijan Robinson to 12 carries and 29 yards, while TCU's running back Kendra Miller, 21 carries, 138. So TCU dominated the trenches. Huge credit to Sonny Dykes. They win they're going to the Big 12 championship 10-0. I mean, take a bow, Horned Frogs. Excellent job on the road in Austin. Clearly the better team. I mean, the 17-10 doesn't even tell the whole story. Texas had no business getting 10 points in that game. Now, let's talk about Auburn a little bit. Auburn fans are on my snaps list here because credit to you if you're a loyal War Eagle. Y'all had every right in the world to not give a damn about this game, okay? It's 2 3-6 teams. You fire Brian Harsin. The entire team is left. Like, sure, an interim coach that's a beloved interim coach is somewhat exciting, but it's still no reason to go to this game. But not only did people show up and pack out Jordan-Hare, but that crowd was absolutely electric all night long. They were feeding off of, do we call him Carnell or Cadillac now? Someone I thought correct me when I called him Cadillac the other day. Does he not like that anymore?
I think he in his coach form, he is going by Carnell.
Perfect. I want to respect him, especially after a win like that. So you could tell that Carnell Williams was definitely feeding off the crowd's energy. The crowd was feeding off of his energy. The players were feeding off of his energy. And I don't want another person in here to ever defend the job that Brian Harsin did at Auburn to me. I don't care if you want to defend Brian Harsin's resume elsewhere and the job he did at Boise, whatever. He did an objectively awful job at Auburn. And here you have these players after the game and Coach Carnell talking after the game about how these players needed to be healed. Like they were broken and they quite literally needed to be healed. And the wildest part about the Auburn A&M game is that Auburn looked significantly better than Texas A&M, like just a significantly better football team. That is insane. Compared to A&M, Auburn has had awful recruiting. As I said, half the team left the program. They just fired the coach. Auburn does not have a quarterback that can throw the ball. I love Arabi Ashford's kind of toughness and his ability to run, but he can't throw the ball. A&M won the turnover battle 3-1, and yet they weren't even close. I mean, it was A&M's awful. Like, they are awful. In the first half, Auburn averaged 7.2 yards a play. A&M averaged 3.6. A&M in the third quarter, their entire offensive production in the third quarter, 4 3-and-outs. I credit to Auburn, great defense, great job. Carnell Williams gets the big win. Credit to Sonny Dykes, credit to TCU. Auburn and their fan base needed this. Okay, now let's get in to the shit stains on this equation, Texas and Texas A&M. Brum, since you posed the question, do you have an answer on who's worse this? Because it's really tough to say, right? One team was playing for pride in A&M, so you're like, so it doesn't matter as much. One team had legitimate, conference championship hopes to play for in Texas, so that makes you sting a little more. Texas was at home, which makes that one more embarrassing. But as I just laid out, like A&M looked just like the lesser football team against a team that they have no business being lesser than. it is wild to choose who was shittier of the two. Where's your head at, Brum?
Texas, not close.
Really?
This was Sark's lowest offensive production in terms of yards since 2012.
Okay.
It's 17-3. They didn't score an offensive touchdown with a team that is, supposed to be an offensive juggernaut with a highly rated quarterback and a offensive mind. The game wasn't really competitive.
No, it was not competitive at all.
They
at
were
all.
favored by a touchdown at home.
Both games were not terribly competitive. Even though the final scores would make you think so. I mean, and the favored by a touchdown thing is huge there. I guess, yeah, maybe Texas is worse, but also, like we said, dude, this is why we said not to trust Texas. This is why after I trusted them, I think it was maybe the Texas Tech week or, I don't know, one of the weeks early in the season, I said, okay, never again, because every time you line up to kick that football, Lucy will pull it. Just an awful job. Do you fire Jimbo Fisher? I mean, I know we ask that question every week, and it's becoming more. And the answer remains the same. It's always you can't. It's too much money. It's unrealistic. You can't. But like every week, Jimbo pushes that envelope a little bit further.
I would not be surprised if Jimbo Fisher is fired in the next 48 hours. I would not be surprised.
I mean, it is like he is playing some insane game of chicken. Is Ross Bjork the AD now? It's like he's playing some insane game of chicken with Ross Bjork right now. Like, again, they have no desire to pay a man $80 million not to work, but Jimbo is he's so I'm impressed. I mean, I was kind of impressed with Brian Harsin managed to get fired before even getting 2 years and getting that $15 million buyout. But Jimbo is putting on just an absolute masterclass about how to make your situation untenable. What is that, 5 or 6 losses in a row now for Texas A&M? I believe it may be 5. They'll win next week against UMass, and they got LSU. They'll probably lose that game. You're talking about a top 10 team that very well may finish the season 4-8, and not just finishing 4-8, but the culture seems a bit broken when you just look at the players on the sideline, see stories coming out during the week. You got decommitments now on the recruiting trail. And this is always a major red flag. And like a lot of the bad red flags on tonight, it applies to both Texas and Texas A&M, is when you are a coach and you have a strength on that side of the ball, you have to be good on that side of the ball. Jimbo Fisher's offense was putrid tonight. Steve Sarkisian's offense was absolutely putrid tonight. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think A&M, and I love this because it is just the height of college football insanity and just how out of control the economics can be. But I think you're right, Brum. I think A&M really might fire Jimbo, which if you don't like A&M, you should not want that. Like, you should actually want Jimbo to stay there. There is no reason. There is no evidence. He has given you no reason to believe that he will ever get things fixed at Texas A&M.
None.
And if he leaves, then you could be in trouble, because if they hire someone good, like I am a firm believer that I know Aaron and Jake and other guys will tell you that, like, A&M, yeah, we say they have potential, but they've literally never done it ever. Like never. And I understand that. But I also understand the influence that money has on the world and in today's college football. And I understand how much like commitment and buy-in matters. And I still think with the right guy, that is probably the sleeping giant. So I hope they keep Jimbo employed. I don't know that they will. What about Steve Sarkisian? Is he on the hot seat now? I mean, what are we? This is year 2 of Sark, right? Last year was year 1?
This is year 2.
Yeah, so he's doing his.
He's 11-11 in his 2 years at Texas.
And you fired Tom Herman for what? Basically going 500.
Essentially, yes. And with all the scandals or the issues with the Eyes of Texas stuff was what really did him in at the end.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Imagine that. Texas up its own ass about such stupid ass tradition instead of winning football games. Unbelievable. Lord of the Drip says, well, I mean, what do y'all think, dude? Would y'all fire Fisher? Would y'all fire Sark? Lord of the Drip says Texas should give Sark one more year. Sure. I mean,
I think the Arch Manning.
I think you have
is saving his job. You cannot.
How long? Go ahead.
I believe that like locking up Arch keeps you for another year. I think, but I think that's almost as good.
Any chance that Arch decommits?
Well, then he's gone. If you lose Arch Manning, I think your seat goes from warm to scalding fast.
Wow, dude. I mean, I think that you have to give him a third year out of principle, and then you can feel very comfortable firing him after next year if they go 5-5 again. Yeah, Dylan Meadows, Arch was at this game tonight too, which is kind of hilarious. Rogue Joker says, Jimbo and all his roots need to be pulled out. It's an awful thing going on over there. I love to watch them lose, but it's like a dead corpse at this point. Caleb P says, Brian Kelly comes into a broken roster and has a better season than Jimbo ever had. Andy J, if you're worried about firing Jimbo, scared money, don't make money. Brandon Reese says those players probably checked out on Fisher at this point. I get that feeling. Now, I want to be clear. There's not anything reporting. I've not talked to anyone. But when I look at the Texas A&M body language, it looks like a bunch of guys that don't really give a fuck. Now, it's a bunch of guys who love to celebrate when they make a play, which is, whatever. That's only like natural. But on the sideline, I mean, they're kind of like laughing, goofing around. It just, I don't know, man. It does. And then Jimbo just looks completely at odds. And, it's hard, man. It's hard to age gracefully. And when things are going poorly and you're getting older, you just look so old. And Jimbo right now just looks tired with his glasses on the bridge of his nose, frustrated yelling at the players, no real response from the players, complete inability to manufacture any offense. It's kind of like Nick Saban. Like I feel like Nick Saban, he's getting older as well. And so, he looks old, and then you lose a couple games, and all of a sudden everybody's like, God, he looks so tired, dude. He's probably going to retire. No, I don't know. But whatever. Alabama won today. Jimbo did not. So, I don't know, man. Just an awful day for the big brands of Texas football. Obviously not TCU. Huge shout out to the Horned Frogs, but Texas loses. They're now out of any Big 12 championship hopes. They got to go to Kansas next week. Could absolutely lose that game. And then they got Baylor at home. I'm very disappointed in Baylor today. I don't want to talk about them. And then for Texas A&M, yeah, you're staring down LSU. And this is going to be a motivated LSU team on a couple of fronts. First off, I think they always hate A&M. I think that rivalry that was, very manufactured is actually hit quite nicely. And, look, LSU still has an outside shot at the playoff, right? It's like they're motivated by playoff. They're motivated to flush this bad performance after Arkansas. And now they have a playoff shot at the playoff because Oregon loses today. Oregon, Dan Lanning, ducks it up once again. What is this? Lord of Jim says, I bet the AD at A&M is already making inquiries. David Wunderlich says Lane Kiffin is head coach. Brent Venables as his DC to Auburn. Bro, if I was Lane, wouldn't you wait for A&M or Texas to open up? Am I being dumb? Like, am I shitting on these cultures, like out one side of my mouth and then like saying that you should join them? Because like, I don't know. I still think the potentials of those schools with the right guy can be great. I think that Lane is probably that right guy. Again, I know Ole Miss lost today, but they're probably going to win 10 games for back-to-back seasons after doing it. They'll have a good chance to win 10 regular season games back-to-back years after doing it for the first time ever in school history last year. Dylan Meadows says stay at Ole Miss, keys to the kingdom in Oxford. Yeah, that's fine. If he wants job security, yeah, that's true. I mean, he's beloved in Oxford. He can get whatever he wants. But I do think that Ole Miss has some inherent limitations, maybe versus those other schools. Rogue Joker says Jimbo's a green notebook full of papers like the Water Boy. A lot of Water Boy references going on, especially with Harold Perkins today, which we'll get to. All right. Oregon loses. Great again. I know the big story for college football here is that Oregon loses, but a great game and a great year continues for Caleb DeBoer and that Washington Husky football team. Now 8-2 on the year. Expect them to be ranked in the teens next week. This was a program that was dead in the water. A program where what was the old coach's name that got fired last year?
Jimmy Lake.
Yes, dude, Jimmy Lake, and it was all about like vaccine shit, just the stupidest fucking shit to get fired over. No
You're
offense.
getting the Washington State and the Washington coach confused.
Oh, was Jimmy? So wait, did they just fire Jimmy Lake for doing bad?
Jimmy Lake was the one who pushed the player on the sideline, and it spiraled from there.
Okay, yeah, and they were bad. My bad. You're right. The vaccine stuff was a Washington State coach. Still, pushing a player leading to your firing. That does kind of show you too that they were kind of ready to be done with you. But whatever. This is a Washington program. There were no great expectations for. Their offense is horrible. You hire Caleb DeBoer, which one of those like really successful small school coaches, makes the jump up there, gets Michael Penix, and now they're running one of the most exciting offenses in the entire country. Penix, outside of an awful pick tonight, had some of the best throws I've ever seen in my life. In fact, this game was a great game. Like if you love home runs and you love offensive football, Oregon and TCU was just, God, all my wires across. Oregon and Washington was just fantastic. I mean, back and forth, like every time Oregon would land like a big haymaker, and I'm like, all right, that's it. Washington would come straight back. But Brum, did you see the end of the sequence in this game?
I did.
Dan Lanning like blew this like badly. Yeah. Like very badly. So for those that don't know, the game was tied. Bo Nix had just gotten hurt the drive before, and Oregon has the ball in their own territory. It's 4th and 1. They have it was either true freshman or redshirt freshman quarterback in. Never played, right? Your team just lost its hero in Bo Nix. There's about 3 minutes left in the game, maybe like 2.5 or something. And instead of just punting the ball, and again, this is where it gets interesting. Coaches not trusting to the side of the ball that they came up in. Like Dan Lanning is a defensive coach, and yet he showed absolutely no faith in his defense. Went from his own territory. He goes for it with a freshman quarterback that has no real threat of throwing the ball. He goes for it on 4th and 1. Running back falls in the backfield. Washington doesn't even move the ball. They just kick a field goal. Like they got stopped. Like Dan Lanning's defense came up with a stop, but then Washington was already in field goal range. They end up kicking the field goal, make it 37-34, and they win the game. Again, a bit of an ironic inning there. So what does that mean? That means Oregon is now out. And not out of the let me check Pac-12 standings, actually. I'm not sure if they're...
there's a lot of things going on still, so it's hard to determine whether or not they're...
Yeah, and they do the top 2 thing, right? There's no divisions. They just do the top 2 teams.
Correct.
And is UCLA still losing to Arizona?
I believe so. Let me double check that right now.
By the way, I don't want to go too deep in the potential Pac-12 woods because it could get really weird before it's all said and done. But Oregon is out the playoff, right? We said it earlier this week. The Pac-12 makes an art of not getting teams in the playoffs, and here they go again. One more contender falls. If UCLA falls tonight, that will be another, and then they will be down to just USC. Now, why that matters is, again, if the Pac-12 loses their potential spot in the playoff, that opens up for, the 3 SEC team scenarios that we've talked about. Maybe it opens up a 1-loss Michigan or 1-loss Ohio State to get in there. I don't think any other conference with 1 loss is going to get in there if you're not conference champion. So it gives a little life to, I would say probably the biggest winners here are the 3 SEC scenario or the loser of Ohio State, Michigan. Blizzard 25 says $5 super chat. Thank you, Blizzard. What's your opinion on Tennessee run up the score late in the 4th today? The reaction is mixed. Either it's classless or style points for the committee. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a if you're upset with it, it's kind of created. I don't want to say prison of your own creation, but I'm like trying to say that. Like, it behooves a team to smash their opponent. If you are someone who is going to rely on judgment to get you into the playoff, which Tennessee is, right? They do not control their own destiny, although they will almost assuredly make the playoff. They need to put as much good tape as they can out there, so that the committee is impressed. So you could say it's classless, but I do think it's just the reality of the situation. Like, I think it's what they have to do. So I have no problem with it at all. Brandon Reese says, I think Tennessee gets to play regardless because they'll move up after the Ohio State, Michigan. Tennessee is getting in. Tennessee is definitely getting in, dude. I think Tennessee was getting in probably even with a Pac-12 champion. Now, I guess TCU is the other kind of assumed loss that we had in there to get.
Look at the surprise we have, T-Bob.
Pac-12 champion. Hey, Aaron Murray, what's up, dude?
Yo.
What's going on, man? How you doing, bro?
I was listening to you on my car ride home. You're really good at your job, T-Bob. I mean, just phenomenal. I was thoroughly enjoying the late night breakdown of the games. And
it's great because my brain's
help my poor man, your raspy little voice right now.
It is a raspy little voice. And I got to be honest, I'm struggling. 11 a.m. kickoffs are so weird. Because for my LSU show, Whiskey and Wine, like I literally have to drink. Like it's not like it is a literal built-in part of the show. So it's always this wild, like I'm drunk at like 2 p.m, but now I have to, and I do a show then, but now I have to like go to the office and like just so regular. It's been a weird day, a long day. I'm very glad to have you here, Aaron Murray. How'd the game go? How'd your call go?
Game went great. Coastal Carolina versus Southern Miss. I'm here in near Coastal Carolina, and 26-23. So we had a competitive ball game. I did have my eye on everything going on across the country. Had my don't tell my bosses this. Had some iPads up, watching games. And damn,
are you a multiple iPad guy, Aaron Murray?
I am a multiple iPad guy. Yes, and phone
what a flex, dude.
And
what a flex.
Well, I got iPad. I got my computer and I got my iPad. Then I got my phone.
Okay.
Plus, I'm calling a game too. Like your boy, some pretty talented stuff going up there, if I do say so myself. Up there,
shout out. I agree,
done.
Bro. That's very impressive. Shout out to the Chanticleers as well. They lost their starting quarterback, right?
Starting quarterback's out. They balled out still, and especially with your Tulane team going down today.
I know, dude.
I think the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers may have an opportunity to jump inside the top 25 this week. So we'll see. And Liberty losing too. So I mean, there needs to be some kind of representation for the Group of Five there in the top 25 rankings that come out on Tuesday.
So we talked about Texas and A&M and how it feels like both Sark and Jimbo's jobs are like potentially in trouble. You got Neil Brown probably out of WU. Like, who's going to give Jamie Chadwell a chance? Like, who's going to he is a, like, remember we were talking the other day about how, like, you ideally, I think, I can't remember what school we were talking about. We were talking about how you want to hire a coach who has like a schematic advantage. He has a beautiful offense. Like, he brings scheme to the table as well as like juice, personality. Like, somebody give Jamie Chadwell a big time job. It's insane.
I'm with you, man. I said it tonight on the broadcast. I was like, man, if you're looking for a new coach and you need someone, you're going to look on offense. You're going to look at someone who can create on that side. That's why Lane is up there. That's why Hugh Freeze is up there, because they can score points. And that's what people want. Like, at the end of the day, you know, we just want someone that come in there, can entertain us, can score points. We can have fun. If you're going to lose, at least scoring 30, 40 points. I mean, that is what people want. People want Tennessee. They want Ole Miss. That is the type of stuff that they are dying for. And right now, Texas is not delivering on that. Obviously, we talk about it, every single week. A&M is not delivering on that. Coastal Carolina is, man. It's a great offense. It's unique. It's different. It's triple option-esque along with the RPO, and he's doing it with lesser athletes. Cool. It's awesome. And it is so much fun to watch. So, he's been one of the most successful Group of Five coaches the past 3 years. He's turned Coastal Carolina into probably a top 5 team this weekend, a team that's only lost a few games in the past 3 seasons. a quarterback that's thrown 90 career touchdowns. That was the most prolific quarterback in last year when it comes to stats and QBR, was here at Coastal Carolina. So yeah, like his name is always coming up. Eventually it's going to hit and he's going to get an opportunity. I was listening to you, obviously, like I said, on the car ride here. And as you kind of broke down Texas and Texas A&M, I appreciate you not going completely in on me about my
no, bro. Look,
Texas.
Yeah,
and
you can't look. I'll say this. I'll say this. This is just like we were both alcoholics, and I got off the bottle before you. And the worst thing I could do to you would be to try to taunt you. I do not want to drive you back to the bottle. I would rather welcome you with open arms.
You know what it is, T-Bob?
Never again, Texas Club. We're here. Never again. Now we are united.
You know what the problem is? So I grew up, weird enough, a Texas fan. I was playing NCAA football. I did like the creative player, created myself a quarterback. I was like, I want to put myself on the team that has the best receivers. This is when they had Roy Williams. Like, oh, Texas is legit.
Yeah.
So like I played with Texas on NCAA. I was like, man, I like their colors. I did some research, their tradition, the championships. So I bought like a big ass Texas board. Chris Sims, who ended up being the quarterback for the Bucs, was at Texas, and obviously I lived in Tampa. It's like all these weird things were happening. I was like, oh, Texas is my team. So I'm going through the recruiting process. I am the number 2 recruit in the country when it comes to quarterbacks. I get an offer from everyone. The only school that
hold on. Is this real life? Hold on. Is this real life or NCAA?
No, real life. Like real life.
Okay,
I was okay. Yes, we're now into the real world. I was the number 2 recruit in the country when it comes to quarterbacks. And I literally got 70, 80 offers. The only school that didn't offer me was Texas. And it's kind of like, you know what it is, though? But this goes back to the story of why I keep going back. It's like the girl that said no to you. Yeah.
They negged you, dude.
She denied me.
Yeah.
She said, no, I don't want you. And I just like, deep down inside, I want her love and attention and goodness. And she just keeps bending me over, unfortunately.
Did you ever watch the show The Pickup Artist? Or did you ever go through a streak in your life where you read the book, The Pickup Artist? Brum, I know you have, dude. I know for a fact, Brum, at some point used to watch The Pickup Artist.
I have not seen The Pickup Artist. It's a whole
wow. Wait, so y'all have never seen this where the guy talks about peacocking, like wearing like a top hat to the bar or like learning magic tricks and like all these different ways to get girls to make out with you. But like one of the main ways is called negging. And it's basically where you just go up to like a hot girl and like insult her or something and then she's like interested in you because you let her because now she's like, oh my God, like what? I'm hot. Like what's he talking about? That was basically you. Texas negged you. It's still working, but we're breaking that cycle. Okay. We're breaking that cycle. We're off the bottle. Never again, Texas. Next time Lucy lines up that football. Okay, Aaron, do not go to kick it. I do not want you to go to kick it.
Is that
a number 1 dual threat rating right there? Were you a dual threat? Let's go, dude.
Russell Shepard. Yeah, that's
my dog, dude. Russell Shepard is one of the best human beings I've ever met in my entire life. An incredible teammate. Ended up making the league for a while. Could not throw a football.
No.
Could not throw a football to save his life. He quickly realized when he got to LSU that he was not going to be a quarterback. Aaron, I'm just impressed with your dual threat rating here, though. Like that,
I run back in the day.
Yeah, I guess so, dude. I'm gonna have to go watch some old highlights again.
Go watch the plant highlights.
Wait, so you were the number 2 quarterback in the nation?
I think number 2 dual threat.
Okay, well, your boy here, the number 2 center in the nation. Look at us, dude.
Look at us, dude. 2 teams in the SEC championship. Your Tigers, though, screwed me with the -3.5. Luckily, I got a
bad day of beats for
-3, so it was a push. But I know we were texting our group. I'll let you go at LSU because it's your team. But, man, I got some thoughts about them.
No. I actually want to hear what you have to say. I was just going to say hold on because you had brutal beats today. There was that one. I mean, as soon as KJ Jefferson wasn't playing, you thought it was cash money. I agree. Did the over not hit in Wake Forest UNC?
No. I had 9 bets today. My LSU one pushed, and then I went 4 for 4 for my other ones. But luckily, the ones that I spent a little bit more money on, Georgia covering, and was another one I put a little bit more money on. Those both hit, so I ended up winning, I think, like $150 today. But then I owe you $50 for the Texas, so I only won $100 today. But I'm still in the positive, so I'm happy about that. I'll take it.
All right, what did you think of LSU though?
You know what? You could say a little bit sleepwalking. I was disappointed in Jaden. From the fumble to his inability to really dissect that defense. Because, like, listen, my feelings on Arkansas. I covered them last week. I've watched them closely all year because I respect Sam Pittman. I love what Arkansas is doing and all that. For them to be 8 of 15 for 86 yards and 1 interception, and I get, man, it was cold. The weather sucked, but like, come on, this defense.
I heard the weather wasn't that bad too. I heard the weather like I know it was cold.
It was cold.
No, I know, but I remember I was listening to the broadcast. I was driving to work and I had the radio on, and the sideline Gordy Rush for station or whatever was basically saying like, look, y'all, it's actually beautiful football weather out here. Like the ice is gone. It's not windy. It's super sunny. So like, yeah, I'm not allowing LSU any excuses. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I agree. That's why I'm saying that. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I think it makes it even worse the fact that you were not able to move the ball and score points against that defense and that secondary. So listen, I will chalk it up, and maybe I'm just a little bit salty now because they didn't cover the spread for me. I'll chalk it up to, listen, hangover, Alabama. This was essentially Arkansas's, big game for them to make a statement like, hey, don't forget about us. We've kind of played like crap lately. And obviously the rallying cry of, hey, KJ's out. Everyone else on the team needs to step up. That didn't happen. So a win's a win. At the end of the day, I will give LSU credit for where they started off of the season. Who would have thunk after the loss versus FSU that this team would clinch the West with
clinch the West? Exactly. Not even just win the West, but clinch the West. That is insane. That is insane.
So I do applaud you. Congratulations. You were the first team to clinch. Georgia obviously clinched tonight as well, so that matchup is set. It was a sloppy game. It was sleepy. Defensively, man, that was awesome. Harold Perkins is a stud. We all know it. Yeah. He may be someone said like Todd McShay's like, oh, he's a top 25 pick in 2025. I don't know what you're smoking, Todd McShay. He's a top 10 pick in 2025. He may be a top 10 pick or top 5 pick in 2025. He may be the best linebacker in the country right now. He's going to be the best defensive player in the country in 2 years.
You know what he is? He may not be the best linebacker right now because even as his own coach, Matt House, the DC, says like he really doesn't actually like know how to play linebacker yet. He is the best quarterback spy in the country. Yeah. Full stop. Full stop. Not even close, dude.
Yeah. Look what he did at the end.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And he can rush off the edge. Ooh. He can rush that bend move. Oh my God. That was like some Neo in the Matrix type shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of defied physics the way that he bent in what do they call that? Bent in the hoop? I don't know. That dip and rip though was just on a whole nother level. And the thing about him though, what's wild is like if you have a quarterback that can't really throw the ball and is a runner, you're dead because Harold Perkins completely negates the ability for him to run. Like you just can't do it, dude. You're not faster than him. And he literally looks like a lion hunting gazelle. He stalks and he waits and he's behind the tall grass, right, which is like the line. And the second the gazelle breaks the pocket, I mean, he's on him, dude. It's insane. He had 2 weeks, before their bye week, he won SEC Defensive Freshman of the Week. Last week, he won SEC Defensive Player of the Week. He's about to win SEC Defensive Player of the Week again this week, and he's 18 years old. Unreal. 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He was awesome.
Well, I know they said a bunch in the broadcast, but for those who didn't watch it or muted it for whatever reason, Malik Hornsby is elite speed, like elite speed, like 4.4, 4.5 speed, and he was hawking him down like it was nothing. It looked like he was chasing me out of the backfield, like, get your ass over here, you're going down. And then the bend, the rip, all that stuff coming off the edge. Yeah, he's a special talent. So, like, yeah, he is going to be a top 10, top 5 pick in the NFL draft in a couple of years. He is a difference maker on that defense, which I've said all year. I think the defense is super talented. They're athletic. They have talent at all 3 levels, from BJ to Ali, who hasn't played great this year but still has talent. BJ obviously has been terrific. He is now kind of solidified himself as one of the most elite linebackers in the SEC. And then, with Jay Ward and company in the back end, like, I think the back end is pretty darn talented too.
The transfers that they got from Arkansas, Fouché has been really good. And then the Jarek Bernard Converse and Mekhi Gardner. Jarek Bernard Converse came from Oklahoma State. Mekhi Gardner came from, I believe, Arkansas as well. So, yeah, it was a hobble-together secondary that has actually performed very well.
Yep.
Oh, wow. James Wade says Hornsby was the anchor leg on the number 1 ranked 4x100 high school track team in the nation in Houston. The anchor on the number 1 I'm bringing that up on my show Monday. That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so here's what I'll say about LSU. Obviously, who's going to be pissed? You just won the West. Is it crazy that you didn't cover? Yes. But one thing I do like, Aaron, I think it's a sign of well-coached teams or just good football teams, is, are you adaptable? Like, can you find a way to win the game within the context of the game? Like TCU showed massive adaptability today. Their defense has been awful. They have been getting run over. And today, on a day when their offense was going backwards as much as it was going forwards early on, TCU's defense shut Texas the fuck down. Bijan Robinson didn't do anything. Kind of the same thing with LSU here, right? LSU's offense has had to win them a bunch of games this year, or a few games. Today was a day where the defense returns the favor. So
I think there's a couple things. I know the big buzzword is like culture. Like, every coach comes and like, I'm going to change the culture and I'm going to turn the culture to what I want it to be, like this and other. I do think that it actually is happening there at LSU. I think there's 2 perfect examples of this. The first one is obviously finding ways to win football games that maybe you're not supposed to, or that you're, kind of in the shitter, like versus Auburn. They're losing the game. They shouldn't be losing to Auburn. They found a way to come back and win the football game. You're losing to Ole Miss. What was it? 17-0. You came back, found a way to win that football game. You're down versus Alabama. You come back and find a way to put that game in overtime, win that game, and then you have a weird game in Arkansas, not playing great, but you found a way to win the football game. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is I'll still go back to I don't want to pick on Booty, but like, Booty was being a headache at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've seen him completely 180 mentally and be so much more involved in the offense and more engaged shows you that if you can get a superstar to commit, and with his personality, tells me too that, hey, this whole culture thing is working there at LSU as well. So they're way ahead of schedule. I mean, they are light years ahead of schedule for where they should be at the moment. They're going to win this weekend versus UAB. They're for sure. I mean, goodness gracious, they better beat A&M. 10-2 SEC West champs.
It's absurd. That's crazy.
Absurd.
Well, and then 11-2 SEC champs. Playoff, maybe. It's it's gonna be crazy, dude. Hey,
you haven't talked about my dog's massive.
I was about to ask you about your dogs, but before we do, I hope Staquavius better get ready, because Percules is coming. Percules.
I want to see Stetson try to do what he did tonight against the safety for Mississippi State.
Yes.
To Harold Perkins and see how that ends up. I mean, Stetson with the moves. I mean, my goodness, he put that dude on skates. I mean, like, it wasn't like a one. Like, Stetson a couple times has pulled it, and like, he's going to the outside and then has like a cut and then breaks it back in and then makes the guy miss and takes it for a touchdown. Like, he's done that a few times, but like, he squared him up. And gave him a little, and then boom, and then broke his ankles. Like, that's different. That is another level of embarrassment.
That was some and one mixtape shit. Like that was some straight up and one mixtape, hot sauce, skip to my Lou, fucking the professor. Actually, I guess the professor is probably the best comp for Stetson when it comes to and one. How about your dogs, man? Just another classic day. I guess it's fun to watch. I wouldn't know. LSU's out here in fucking dogfights with Arkansas. But yeah, Georgia. Actually, I guess it was kind of close early on.
Scary.
It was, it was sketchy early on, but then Georgia just, I mean, again, when Georgia wakes up and focuses, no one stands a chance.
Well, so listen, it was what 17-12, the punt return, Stetson threw a pick. I'm like, man, like once again, like stop playing with your food. They've done that a couple times this year. And it was halftime of my game, so I'm watching it halftime. I'm like, now I'm gonna go get some food. So I went downstairs, grabbed some grub, and then came back up to the booth. And all of a sudden, it's 32-12. I'm like, what the hell did I miss? Like that, that is Georgia.
It did happen quickly.
How many times have they shown us like, hey man, like we'll mess around, but like as soon as like Kirby gives us our halftime speech, like wake your ass up, they show up in the second half and then just bam, gone. Like they are that good. Where it's literally a switch. It's a switch, and they're off to the races. And then, shut down Mississippi State. I thought played well. Wasn't as dominant defensively as I was hoping they would be. I was looking for more of a Alabama-esque performance on that side of the football. But they were also put in some bad situations. Stetson throws a pick. Mississippi State gets the ball in somewhat the red zone, scores 2 plays later. Obviously, the punt return for a touchdown, that's 14 points right there. So really, honestly, the defense gave up, I would say, 12 points, if not less than that, based on kind of the bad situations that the offense put them in. So really a good performance overall from the defense in this game. Offense did enough. I don't like the turnovers they had, but you're going to have those games. Like for us to believe that Stetson was going to go this season, throw 40 touchdowns and no interceptions, like that's just fool's dreaming right there. Like to me, I'm kind of glad he's thrown a couple. I know it sounds weird, but there is a stretch of games where I thought Stetson was playing too conservatively. Yeah. Where I'm like, Stetson, just go rip that bitch. Like you're guiding it. You're scared to make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake. It's going to happen. It's the name of the game. You play in the best conference in America, tough environments. You're going to screw up. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's all I got to say. And he's played better.
What goes through a quarterback's head before you rip a deep ball? I always like to think of like Uncle Rico, like you're just like, I'm about to throw this bitch a mile. Whoa. And then you just fucking like let it ride. Like what goes through your head?
Touchdown. Touchdown. I'm just thinking touchdown. Like because pre-snap, like, all right, this is the play. Yeah. This is kind of the coverage. There is a possibility for if this goes right and this safety moves this direction, there's an opportunity to throw the ball deep. So like you're pre-snap, like, okay, we're getting a little bit horny for this. I just need the safety to move one way and I'm letting this thing go. So yeah, like it's a good feeling when you let it go.
The announcers are like, does Aaron Murray have an erection? Pre-snap, he sees cover zero man coverage and just gets fully hard.
Where I got that from was we were in meetings in Kansas City, and Coach Reed was talking about Donovan McNabb from his time in Philly, and I guess Donovan threw a pick.
Oh, that's cool.
Coach Reed was in meetings, and he was like, he asked him, he's like, why the hell did you throw that? And I guess Donovan was like, man, I just got really horny for the play. I just was really horny for it, Coach. And I just wanted to throw it. Got horny for it. And Coach Reed's like, okay, well, I get it.
Hell yeah, completely. Dude. Donovan McNabb was a beast back in the day, dude. All right, a couple super chats here. Neil Johnson, $5 says, although he won't win, is HP 40 in the Heisman conversation? No, he's not. But he is one of the best players in the country.
You know who James did lose their opportunity? There's a couple people that got eliminated. I almost sent you a little bet for Bo Nix for the Heisman. But he still had a good game, but I think the loss obviously hurts his chances. Jaden's out. Unless Jaden balls out versus Georgia, I think his chances kind of dwindled today. Like today was his opportunity where you beat Alabama, you had the huge game, huge moment. Yep. A lot of eyeballs were going to be on you today. I think a lot of people were watching that game. If he would have then capitalized on that moment and gone out there and had 3 or 4 touchdowns, then all of a sudden we're like, okay, this guy is legit in the conversation for the Heisman.
Yeah.
I think he missed on that opportunity today.
I agree. I mean, we'll get into Heisman during the week, but whatever. $5 super chat says Bulldogs versus Tigers in Atlanta, possible future matchup for years to come. LSU 2 years ahead of schedule. I mean, maybe it's Bulldogs are definitely going to keep going to Atlanta.
One side, yes. Yeah.
I was about to say the West is still going to be, a little sketchy. Josh Chapman with the $2 super chat says, imagine if LSU had Mason Smith. That's true. That would be crazy. Neil Johnson, $5 super chat. If LSU beats Georgia in Atlanta, do they make the playoffs? I think UJ makes it no matter if they win or lose. I agree UJ makes it if they win or lose. I think that if LSU were to win, you would need things to happen. You would need TCU to lose. And, Oregon lost, so you would need you would need a
Oregon
2-loss Pac-12 champion. Yeah, exactly. You would need a 2-loss Pac-12 champion, and you need you need the Big 12 to be out of it and the ACC to be out of it. Because I do think that they would put in
next
SEC.
Week is Oregon plays Utah. Yeah. And if Bo Nix is out, does Utah win that game? And now all of a sudden, are you talking about Utah in the Pac-12 championship game versus, the winner of USC versus UCLA? But, right now, too,
let's check on your UCLA boys, Aaron. How's it going, old Aaron Murray? How's UCLA doing right now?
Yeah, it ain't going there. I think they're looking a little bit ahead to next weekend's game versus USC. But, hey, my Bruins are going to be a second-half team. They're going to come out strong. They're going to win the football game. And we'll make our little wager for next week for UCLA versus USC. So come on, bro. Let's go.
I'll just put my $50 that you owe me back on it. James Wade, LSU controls their own destiny. LSU actually does not when it comes to the playoff. But obviously they're going to Atlanta, so that's great. Okay, last things here. Steve Sarkisian gave the most Aaron Murray quote that I've ever heard when at half he told Holly Rowe, quote, execution all comes down to executing. Hey, Steve, I can't fucking argue with it, dude. I mean, he's not wrong. Aaron told y'all last week, all risks are risky, and Sark told Holly Rowe tonight, execution comes down to executing. Great call. Sark. I mean, I don't know how Texas didn't win with halftime answers like that.
No idea.
I love the Auburn fans. Aaron, real quick, who was the worst loss, A&M or Texas?
Texas, 100%. I said it during the week, man. Like this was Texas' opportunity to make a statement. Like you don't come into Texas, into our home, and win football games. We are Texas. You are TCU. That ain't going to happen. And not only did they lose, they got embarrassed. They looked terrible. Quinn Ewers, I mean, I was texting you the whole game, like, just bench him, man. Just put him on the bench. He's got
bad body language. I don't know what it is. Because I know you don't want your quarterback to get too high or low, but, like.
The thing is, like, you have a good backup. Like, you have a guy at the backup in Hudson Carr who has played a lot of football and right now has thrown 6 touchdowns to 1 pick and 70% completion. Like, put his ass in. Quinn Ewers is not ready. We thought he was, and we thought he was going to be great. He ain't ready. He's cost you 2 football games versus 2 very bad defenses. Oklahoma State is garbage on defense. The worst passing defense in the Big 12. TCU is not a very good defense. He has cost you 2 football games and 2 opportunities where he looked bad in the first half and he looked like he was out of it. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't look like he knew how to throw a football. And you have a backup in Hudson Carr who's more experienced, who you could have said, okay, Quinn, you're our future. But right now, you just ain't feeling it, kid. You're going to sit here and watch Hudson go out there. So I thought Sark screwed up both games. I would have put Hudson in a heartbeat both games in the second half and seen what he could have done.
Well, and he's just so confusing, Quinn Ewers is, because I texted the group, but he simultaneously kind of throws a beautiful ball, but maybe it's just because he's inaccurate. It just seems so ugly or slow or something. I don't know, man.
He's just late. He's just late.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
It looks good, but then the defense makes a play. It's like, oh, well, because you were a half second late throwing the football. Like there's a sense of anticipation that's just not there. He's young. He's gonna get better. The talent's there. There's no doubt about it. But like right now, when you're Sark and you're trying to build something, and you need to win these football games for your fan base, for recruiting and everything else that goes along with it, to just get people off your fucking back. Like, put the guy in there that can win you the game right now. And there's the thing that frustrated me this game is like there is proof from the Oklahoma State game that when Ewers is not feeling it, he's bad. So like you should have had a plan as a coaching staff saying like if this happens again, we're going to go to Hudson.
That's a really good point.
Ewers looked awful in the first half. Have the plan of Ewers, sorry, Hudson, you're in, go win the second half. Like that's bad coaching.
So would you fire Sark? It's only year 2. Is he on the hot seat?
No.
You have to give him a third year, right? You have to give him at least a third year.
Yeah, with the recruiting class that he's brought in, you have to give him another year. And because if you fire him right now, like I don't know what would happen to that recruiting class. You would see mass exodus, and you may see some guys leave too. Like you understand, like 4 and 5 star guys, they want to commit to winning programs. They want to go somewhere where like they get to brag to mom and dad and their girlfriend and aunt, uncle, and their boys. Like, hey man, I've committed to a top 5, top 10 team. Like no one wants to say, hey, I've committed to Texas. They're 5-5 and not in the top 25. Like if you're a 5-star, there's a level of expectation of where you're going, and Texas hasn't been there for a while. So this is going to hurt them. But firing Sark right now would put this program back 2-3 years.
Yeah, you're right. Last one. Do you fire Jimbo? I mean, again, Jimbo is just putting on a masterclass in how to force your boss to fire you. Like I mean, it is incredible. Well, the
first thing is, did Neil Brown keep his job today? Did Neil Brown keep his job today?
I hope not, dude. I hope not. You know my feelings on Brown. I did not watch that game, though. I was like shocked when I saw that score. I think I bet on Oklahoma like a dumbass. Also, that situation feels awful. We don't have enough time to get into it tonight, but like Venables has never done this before. Like you have no reason as an Oklahoma fan to feel good about your future.
The question is, do they make a bowl game, Oklahoma, right now? I mean, you're versus Oklahoma State next weekend. We'll see if Oklahoma State's quarterback's healthy or not. And then you're at Texas Tech, and Texas Tech, as we all know, is always a tough game to play on the road, especially when your defense has been as bad as your defense has been. Does Oklahoma go 5-7, not make a bowl game? They're flirting right now with the worst. I mean, they're second to worst conference record. Actually, the worst because West Virginia beat them, so they have the head-to-head. The only worst team in the conference right now is Iowa State.
And that's insane because Oklahoma fans are not used to that at all. Mm-mm. Like they've never had a bad year. Like there has not been an easier program to be a fan of than Oklahoma, like maybe in college football history, but like certainly in our lifetime. Wow. Yeah. And then on the Jimbo front, dude, you know what's wild to me, Aaron, is that Auburn just looked significantly better than A&M did. Like an Auburn team that has Cadillac as the head coach. Auburn's had awful recruiting. Half the teams left. Fired their coach. No quarterback. Like I love Robbie Ashford's grit, but he cannot throw the ball. A&M won the turnover battle 3-1. Like A&M is horrible. It defies comprehension just how bad A&M has gotten. It's wild, bro.
No,
shout out Jimmy Sexton.
3-7. Number 6 team in the country is 3-7. You want to talk another interesting game today, just real quick?
What you got?
So early on this season, I picked Florida to beat Kentucky, and Florida lost. And if you go back and watch the film right now, I guarantee you would say, just watching just purely the coach's tape, you would say Florida should have won that football game. Anthony Richardson throws 2 horrendous interceptions.
Awful
other than
picks.
That, Florida, awful picks. But Florida was the better football team in that game. Kentucky won. So Matt Jones comes on my radio show in the afternoon, and he's, I told you so, and you're an idiot, and you don't know football, and you're
wait. So for those that don't know, Matt Jones is the Kentucky sports radio guy, a massive Kentucky sports personality.
Yes. So I'm like, Matt, like your team got lucky. They were not the better football team. You take away those 2 picks, which weren't the doing of Kentucky. It was more just Anthony Richardson just being Anthony Richardson. Like, they were not the better football team. You guys are not that good. And he's like, no, we're going to win 10 games. We're the second best team in the East. You don't know football. You're an idiot. I'm like, okay, Matt, goodbye. Adios. I called my producer to say, and today for my that show, I said, we need Matt on Monday. And I'm going to release all hell on him. Because you just lost to Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
So you're the idiot for not knowing football, so get off my back.
Also, I mean, let's be clear, dude. Kentucky had this coming the second that Stoops went after Calipari and tried to make it like, got upset when Calipari called Kentucky a basketball school. Hello, you fucking are a basketball school. That doesn't mean you can't be good at football or whatever. Like, what are we talking about here, dude? You're getting a little fat and cocky over there. And also, to be fair, I just got so sick of all the football bros that are obsessed with Kentucky. Like Jake. I love Jake to death. Jake Hester, my co-host. But he loves in some Stoops at Kentucky. And for years, all I got to hear about, they're actually good. They're actually good. They're actually good. Well, they're actually not. Because they had the quarterback this year, and they booty. Hadn't Vandy, isn't that their first SEC win in like 25 games or something?
Yeah, it's been like 4 years since they've won an SEC game for Vandy.
Hey, shout out Clark Lee, dude. Shout out Clark Lee.
Shout out Clark Lee and shout out to Mike Wright, man. Listen, Mike was a starter before the season. He played well through the first 2 games, kind of went through a little bit something in the third game. They bring in AJ Swan. AJ's played great. But like Mike just brings you that dynamic of running where like Vanderbilt needs explosive plays. Like they need some quarterback that can just all of a sudden, boom, turn up, get a 60-yard touchdown run. And Mike was that guy, and he did that in this game and actually made some big-time throws too, especially the touchdown throw to win the football game. So big shout-out to Vandy. And thank you, too. That was a big cover for me in my under. I knew I should pick that under. Like, I'm just not good with overs this year. I'm over 2. I sent you this over at 48, and I hit it easily. I was like, man, I should have just stuck with this as my under for the show too. But I'm done with overs. I'm done.
Yeah, well, look, I'm pretty upset too because the system plays worked out awfully. Wake Forest had a chance, but Hartman screwed it up. But like Baylor got their ass kicked. Cortland Jacob in the chat points out Vandy has a longer SEC win streak than A&M does right now. Oh, how about this? If we're throwing random shout outs to Jim Mora Jr. UConn, a program that was awful, beats Liberty. Fresh off the SEC win, UConn beats Liberty, get bowl eligible, 6-5, beat Hugh Freeze and Liberty.
Hugh Freeze first time.
Yep. No, Hugh Freeze was reading the good book. Okay, he don't read those press clippings. No, UConn though, bowl eligible for the first time since 2015. It's awesome.
Nice.
Congrats.
All
right, I think. Yeah, bro.
Sorry,
another team. So them, no. Them and Kentucky. I got so sick of the football bros. Like you do so much media, and there was just a sect of media where it's like, well, like NC State's actually, and I even got sucked in. I think I even chose NC State to like win the ACC or something. I'm a dumbass.
My play-by-play guy tonight, big ACC guy, went to Syracuse. Before the show, we were golfing this morning. Went for a little round of golf, early morning golf, and which my 38-week pregnant wife, who was Maddox, was being a nightmare this morning. FaceTime me and she goes, "Are you really fucking golfing right now?" I'm like, "Oops, sorry."
You got to get in like a bathroom or something at that point and kind of hide your surroundings. Yeah.
It's like the one like the guy wears the green screen around him. And
Exactly.
But anyways, we're on the course and he's like, he asked me about the whole playoff situation. I'm like, dude, the ACC's out. He said, no, they're not. Like the ACC is legit. And the ACC is just deep and they're a good conference. And like a one-loss Clemson or UNC deserves to get in there. And I'm like, dude, your conference is a joke, man. Just like give up on it.
They're so bad, dude. They're so
tonight,
bad.
like when NC State lost to Boston College, like, dude, that actually was like the final straw. Like, yes, the ACC is not very good. I'm like,
he said that. He finally admitted it. Hell
he finally admitted it.
Oh, look at this.
That was the final straw.
Look at this comment in the chat. You two are solid gold. Nice work. Thank you, D Snuts. That's very kind of you. Also, that's a great name. Snaps Baby's coming soon. This is true. Okay, let me think. Anything else? I love Costco Card Kid, but we can actually save him for Monday's show.
Yes,
And yeah, I think that will do it for today. So, Aaron, I'm so glad you came. I was honestly not having fun doing this show alone. And then you showed up.
Wow, I feel on Saturday nights when you're hammered drunk doing something else.
Know, dude. It sucks. I know. And then next Saturday, dude, they're making LSU kickoff with UAB at 8 p.m. next Saturday. What the?
You know what's gonna be interesting? Brum might be doing the late night show in case Sharon pops like next weekend, and you have the 8 p.m. show.
Yeah.
Maybe the Ryan Brumley special snap show.
Yeah, I just came to that realization about 30 seconds into that point, and I was like, well, we got something to figure out for Saturday.
My producer for my game, we're at dinner last night. My producer was like, so you didn't tell me that your wife could literally pop any minute. Like, what happens if she goes into labor like tonight or tomorrow morning? I'm like, honestly, I have not really thought about that. Like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. If like, do I go home? Do I like get in my car and drive 6 hours back to Atlanta?
Yeah, I think you just got to bounce, right? Like you just got to middle of the broadcast. I mean, but I guess you can't really do that. Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Really what I said is like, listen, it's a second kid. So. And now this is going to be on the internet. So my second kid one day is going to go back and watch this. Be like, wow, Dad, thanks for being an asshole.
I kind of tried a little similar something when we were talking about SEC championship, and I learned real quick that,
Damn, I still can't believe you
don't
do that for us.
I know. Don't blame me. Blame my cock. It's his fault, All right, y'all. We love y'all very much. It really is so much fun hanging out. Thank you to everybody who's still hanging out in the chat right now. Andy J says, push on 30 for 30, Jimmy Sexton. Yeah, there should be a 30 for 30 on Jimmy Sexton. I agree, Andy. But yeah, again, thank y'all to everybody. We love doing the show. Thank you to the FanDuel Sportsbook app, promo code SNAPS. My awful same game parlays continue to fail miserably. Huge thank you to the Volume Sports channel for having us here. And wherever you listen to pods, y'all, if you can subscribe to the pod, rate it and review it, and share it with your friends. We really want to grow this thing, and we're loving growing it with y'all. So thank you so much, Aaron. Thanks so much for coming on after work. Ryan Brumley, thank you so much for working so late as well. Also, Paul Farrington, a.k.a. Paulie Walnuts, and PG Peck Gunner, thank y'all as well. And, of course, the listeners. We love y'all, and we'll see you Monday for a brand new episode of Snaps.